and welcome to our morning edition of Arirang News. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. South Korea has officially been named as the host of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee session for next year. Set to be held in Busan City in July, this is the first time the country is holding the annual meeting. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that a trade deal with Indonesia has been reached, saying the U.S. will impose a 19% tariff on goods coming in from the Southeast Asian country. Indonesia has now become the third country to strike a trade deal with Washington, following the UK and Vietnam. Confirmation hearings for President Lee Jae-myung's cabinet picks are underway. Today, on the third day of the hearings, Education, Justice, and Labor Minister nominees are scheduled to appear at the National Assembly. South Korea's southern port city of Busan has been officially selected to host next year's UNESCO World Heritage Committee session. This marks the first time that South Korea will serve as the committee's chair. Our Park Hyo-bin has more.
UNESCO's World Heritage Committee meeting will take place in Busan, South Korea's second-largest city, next summer. In a meeting in Paris on Tuesday, officials announced that South Korea will host the 48th session scheduled for July 2026. While the event has previously been held in other Asian countries, this is the first time South Korea will serve as chair. More than 3,000 participants, including representatives from 196 signatories to the World Heritage Convention, are expected to attend to review global cultural and natural heritage from multiple angles. The Korea Heritage Service noted that the announcement is especially meaningful as it comes in the 30th anniversary year of the Korea's first World Heritage listings, which include Bulguksa Temple and Seokguram Grotto in the city of Gyeongju.
Since joining the World Heritage Convention in 1988, South Korea is now serving its fourth term as a committee member. We aim to promote dialogue among cultures and strengthen international cooperation in line with UNESCO's founding principles.
Officials in Busan say the city was chosen for its proven ability to host large-scale events with strong infrastructure, security, and accommodation. The city previously hosted major gatherings like the APEC summit, and officials expect the World Heritage Session to further cement its reputation as a global conference hub. And with thousands of visitors expected, the event is also projected to boost the local economy through tourism and related spending. At the 47th session in Paris, which opened on July 6th, a set of prehistoric rock carvings in Ulsan City was added to UNESCO's World Heritage List. This marks South Korea's 17th inscription on the list, and the 2026 session in Busan is expected to further elevate South Korea's standing in global heritage diplomacy. Park Hyo-bin, Arirang News.
Confirmation hearings for President Lee's cabinet picks are entering a decisive stretch this week as lawmakers scrutinize nominees for key ministries. From climate action to small business policy, candidates laid out their visions while partisan tensions continue to run high. Our Moon Hye-ryun reports.
The National Assembly's confirmation hearing for key cabinet positions entered its second day on Tuesday, with nominees appearing before lawmakers on related standing committees. Kim Song-hwan tapped to lead the Ministry of Environment, pledged to strengthen measures to protect residents from climate-related disasters as the country has seen record rainfall and heat in recent years.
The next 5 years will be a critical period for laying the groundwork for a transition to a decarbonized green civilization. I will work to overcome the climate crisis hand in hand with the public.
He also advocated for a pragmatic energy policy that balances renewable energy with nuclear power, reiterating that he does not support phasing out nuclear energy despite his past association with such views under the Moon Jae-in administration. Han Sung-suk, the nominee for Minister of SMEs and Startups, discussed the challenges that small businesses face amid high interest rates, inflation, and sluggish domestic demand, while pointing out the need for a digital transformation.
The rapid acceleration of the AI revolution and digital transformation is shifting the very paradigm of industry, leaving behind businesses unable to adopt. For small businesses and SMEs, digital transformation is no longer optional. It is a prerequisite for survival and growth.
Han also addressed growing concerns over Chinese e-commerce platforms such as AliExpress and Temu gaining market share in Korea, and said she would take necessary measures to address safety and copyright issues, particularly in the fashion sector. Disputes between ruling and opposition party lawmakers have continued to play out across much of the confirmation hearings for cabinet nominees, with tensions heightening for Kwon Ol, nominee for Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs. The People Power Party criticized his lack of experience in Veterans Affairs and accused the administration of rewarding loyalty over merit, with Kwon being a former conservative lawmaker who switched sides just ahead of the presidential election. The Democratic Party defended the nomination, saying it reflected the president's will to promote national unity across ideological lines. Despite the clashes, lawmakers did manage to adopt a confirmation report for Bae Kyung-un, the nominee for Minister of Science and ICT, in a rare moment of agreement. The confirmation process will continue with hearings scheduled for the Education, Justice and Employment and Labor ministerial nominees on Wednesday. 문혜련, Arirang News.
And one of the 5 nominees questioned on Tuesday was Defense Chief nominee Ahn Gyu-back, who could become the first civilian defense minister in decades, breaking with the tradition of retired military generals taking the post. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung tells us more.
5-term lawmaker Ahn Gyu-back faced lawmakers' questions on Tuesday during the parliamentary confirmation hearing for the post of defense minister. Nominated as the first civilian defense chief in 64 years, Ahn is widely expected to lead the transformation of the military that was mobilized during the martial law period. Asked to fulfill such expectations, he vowed to rebuild the military to earn people's trust.
What we must do now is to hold those accountable for the illegal martial law, correct the wrongdoings of the previous administration, strengthen civilian control to ensure that our military does not become a tool for private power, and rebuild a military of the people.
He added he would reform the military by boldly incorporating advanced technologies and reorganize the structure to deal with the falling number of troops. Regarding North Korea, he said ministry will support the government's efforts to establish peace on the peninsula while pledging to seek sustainable peace based on strength.
I will militarily support the government's efforts to establish peace on the Korean peninsula while establishing deterrence based on immense military power. A door for dialogue to ease tensions and build trust should be left open.
Ahn was also asked about his views on relationships with allies and neighboring countries. He stated that the Seoul-Washington alliance should be strengthened and that any discourse on U.S. forces Korea troop reduction and Washington's thoughts on strategic flexibility should be closely consulted between both parties, as it is not something that one side can unilaterally assert. In terms of China, Ahn said he would seek a cooperative relationship focusing on national interests.
Regarding China, we need to take into account various factors such as northern diplomacy, market expansion, and economic interests.
Ahn added that the Lee Jae-myung administration will pursue the transfer of the wartime operational control from the U.S. to South Korea, based on a strong combined defense posture and the two countries' agreement on conditions followed by their mutual fulfillment. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
So with confirmation hearings underway for President Lee's cabinet picks, attention is now turning to how his administration plans to shape domestic policy. For more on this, we're joined by Professor Choi Hyun-sun, professor at the Department of Public Administration at Myeongji University. Professor Choi, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
So it's been around 40 days since President Lee took office. President Lee has gained fairly high approval ratings, even in traditional conservative regions like Daegu and Gyeongsangbuk-do province. What's your overall assessment of the new administration so far?
I think Lee Jae-myung administration has a very good, successful start. I would say B+ over B+. I think the President Lee focused on economic recovery and strengthening international relationships. That that's a very good focus. Also, he tried to make more stability and confidence among our citizens and the market. That is a very good start. So I think that the people getting more confidence, and then the probably new administration doing some job. So is compared to the previous government, I think the Lee Jae-myung administration tried to work something. But I think the next 2 months is very important because people want to see the result. Also, the citizens' expectation is so high.
That's right, and eyes are now on the confirmation hearings that are set to run until Friday this week. And we already heard some of these nominees, including the Defense and Unification Minister and Science Minister nominees, speak at the National Assembly this week. What's your take on this?
I think the general, overall, I think the nomination was good. I think the people expect actually the new cabinet, which is working hard. I think that is a good nomination, but there are some issues, like, for example, Minister of the Education and the Minister of the Gender Equality and the Family. I think that they're some private and academic lives, but still maybe the view of the citizens, maybe there are some issues. I think many people thinking about it is good choice or bad choice, something like that. I think that in this political context, maybe Democratic Party try to move on, and then they can making all nomination passed. But the problem is maybe how people think. So I think the President Lee Jae-myung maybe should very think carefully about his final decisions about these nominations.
Right, we'll have to see how that goes throughout this week. And today, the president is expected to meet with the families of victims of national tragedies like the Busan airport crash and the Itaewon Halloween crowd crush. What kind of support do you think the government must offer to these victims and their families?
I think the problem we have is this big disaster happen again, and then the many part of the fault is may belong to the government. I think the government still they don't put the priority under the safety of the citizens. I think that's a big problem. So many the family of the victims thinking about the government should prevent this disaster maybe in the future. I think secondly, maybe government need to focus maybe in the long term, sustain their support and in the financially, or sustain their support or the psychologically. So I think the President Lee Jae-myung tried to raise the families of victims, but I think he maybe make our government working for the preventions and sustain the help.
Right, and not just with the families of these victims, but President Lee is also making efforts to better engage with local residents by holding a series of town hall meetings. Do you see this as an effective way to connect with the public?
Yeah, I think that's a very effective way to make maybe citizen engagement and then the participation. Also, maybe making more transparency. I think the President Lee Jae-myung showed when he was a mayor in the Seongnam City, also when he was governor of the Gyeonggi province, he showed his transparency, also his maybe effort to the communications with the citizens. I think these town hall meetings is a part of that, his transparency and that his communication. Also, maybe many citizens maybe think it is a very good way. I think he should continue these meetings. But one thing I want to comment is maybe he can answer shortly and then try to listen more. Yeah.
I see. And as President Lee works to put the country back on track, diplomacy is another field that he's working on. The president recently sent special envoys to key nations like France, the UK, and India, and the EU. What are your thoughts on this diplomatic move?
I think that his special envoys has a very good the people. I think the Kim Jong-un maybe is named for the United States, and the Yoon Yeol-jin, former the Minister of the Environmental, also nominated for the EU. Kang Keum-sil, former the minister, and Chu Mi-hye is of the representative of the Democratic Party, and then the Kim Bu-kyum, former the prime minister. I think that those people is well balanced. I think there are conservative people, and there are some maybe the more progressive people. So I think our allies, important allies, for example, the United States and the European Union, he tried to make sure Korea is still the very strong allies and friendship we have. So the Yoon Yeol-jin and the Kim Jong-un can walk that way. So I think that this special envoys is a nomination is very good. But there are something happens like in the Democratic Party. Maybe for the special envoy for the United States is not the proper. I don't think so. I think that that's a very good choice for our new building up with our allies.
I see. All right, Professor Choi, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Washington announced that it reached a trade agreement with Indonesia, saying it had agreed to a 19% tariff rate on its exports to the United States. Meanwhile, as the European Union proposed its latest retaliatory tariff measure against the U.S., it says it will wait until August 1st to allow negotiations to continue. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
U.S. President Donald Trump announced a trade deal with Indonesia on Tuesday, where Washington will impose 19% tariffs on goods coming in from the Southeast Asian nation. American goods exported to Indonesia will face no tariffs or non-tariff barriers.
Everything, we will pay no tariffs. So they are giving us access into Indonesia, which we never had. That's probably the biggest part of the deal. And the other part is they are going to pay 19%, and we are going to pay nothing.
The announcement comes after Trump said he finalized the deal after speaking to his Indonesian counterpart, President Prabowo Subianto. Trump previously said he would impose a 32% reciprocal tariff on Indonesian goods. Also, as part of the latest trade deal with the U.S., Indonesia has committed to spending $15 billion on U.S. energy, $4.5 billion on American agricultural goods, and 50 aircraft from Boeing. Indonesia becomes the second Asian country to make a deal with the U.S. after Vietnam. Meanwhile, the EU is preparing $83.5 billion worth of retaliatory tariffs on American goods in response to Trump's tariff threats. According to Politico on Monday, the European bloc listed American goods subject to tariffs by these 27 member states. The newly added items include aircraft, industrial machinery, and automobiles and auto parts. However, the EU expressed its willingness to continue negotiations with the Trump administration, stressing that no retaliatory tariffs will be in place until August 1st.
I can say to you that it is not our intention to come forward with any countermeasures before the 1st of August while negotiations continue.
EU's retaliatory tariffs are in response to Trump's warning last week that if negotiations fail between the U.S. and the European bloc, Washington would impose a 30% reciprocal tariff starting next month. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The tech-heavy Nasdaq composite closed its Tuesday trading session with another record high, thanks to gains from U.S. chip maker Nvidia. Despite major sell-offs overall on Wall Street, the Nasdaq rallied on the back of major gains from Nvidia to finish the day up 0.18% to close at a new all-time high of 20,677.80. Nvidia jumped up more than 4% on the day to close above $170. Tuesday's gains come on the back of the company unveiling its plans to resume sales of H20 AI chips to China. And Korea's job market added just over 180,000 positions in June compared to the previous year, marking the fourth straight month of on-year gains near the 200,000 mark, according to Statistics Korea on Wednesday. Despite the gains, there are some concerning signs as employment in manufacturing shrank by over 80,000, extending a year-long slide, while construction jobs dropped by nearly 100,000, now down for 14 months in a row amid a sluggish real estate market. Offsetting these losses, hiring surged in healthcare and social welfare, up by more than 210,000, reflecting growing demand in an aging society. Jobs in professional and tech services also climbed by over 100,000 on year.
Good morning, I'm Choi Ji-hee, and this is The World Now. On Monday, Israel announced that it had targeted Syrian government troops near Sweda as they moved into the largely Druze city to suppress severe sectarian conflicts that broke out on Sunday. Sweda has seen intense fighting for 2 days when armed confrontations between Druze militias and Bedouin tribes took place, reportedly killing approximately 100 people as of Monday evening. Syrian security forces entered the city on Tuesday to enforce a ceasefire. However, their presence triggered armed resistance from local Druze fighters. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he had ordered strikes on forces and weapons in the Sweda area to defend the Druze, citing deep cultural ties and a Syrian violation of the demilitarization of the area. In the United Kingdom, it was revealed on Tuesday that nearly 19,000 Afghans who had applied to move to the UK after the Taliban seized power had their details leaked. According to reports, the UK Ministry of Defence data breach in February 2022 exposed details of some 18,700 Afghan individuals, some of whom aided British forces. Around 16,000 Afghans had been relocated by May 2025, with an additional 4,500 in transit. The accidental leak was first reported in August 2023, resulting in a super injunction that prohibited public disclosure. The breach included the names, contact information, and certain family details of individuals who might be in danger from the Taliban. The government also revealed a classified Afghanistan response route scheme launched in April 2024, which was specifically designed to evacuate high-risk individuals. Defense Minister John Healey publicly apologized, acknowledging the breach as one of the worst security risks in recent UK history during a statement to Parliament. In the United States, severe storms led to record-breaking rain in the New York City metropolitan area on Monday, killing 2 people in New Jersey and prompting the declaration of a state of emergency. New Jersey saw more than 15 centimeters of rain in a matter of hours, and New York City saw its second-ever highest hourly rainfall in over 80 years. New York's aging sewer system was quickly overwhelmed, flooding subway stations across Manhattan and halting multiple train lines, while air travel experienced widespread delays. As of Tuesday morning, several major roads in New Jersey were closed due to flooding, and both New York City and New Jersey experienced subway delays. Finally, Italy unveiled the official medals for the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics and Paralympics on Tuesday during a ceremony in Venice. For the first time in Olympic history, both host cities, Milan and Cortina, are engraved on the medals, each made from 2 interlocking discs to symbolize unity and duality between Olympic and Paralympic values. A total of 245 gold, 245 silver, and 245 bronze medals will be awarded during the Winter Games. A total of 137 sets will be awarded in the Paralympics for each of the 3 rankings. The medals are produced from recycled metals using renewable energy. The Games are scheduled to begin in February 2026.
We need to get ready for another round of rain. Rain clouds are rolling in from the west coast, bringing scattered showers to most parts of Korea. But especially from this afternoon, central regions in Jeollabuk-do province could see some really heavy downpours of 30 to 50 millimeters per hour. And through tomorrow, southern Gyeonggi-do and Chungcheong-do provinces could see up to 200 millimeters of significant rainfall. The capital area in Jeollabuk-do might get up to 150 millimeters. Strong winds are also expected along with the rain, so please be careful out there. After the highs will be similar to yesterday, Seoul, Daejeon will be at 26 degrees, Gwangju, Daegu at just 27 degrees Celsius. Then there is a high chance of heavy rain for the southern regions in Jeju this Friday and Saturday. Meanwhile, if you're taking an early summer vacation near the coast, be aware that waves on the east and west seas will be quite high. Be cautious near the water.
Now that's all for today's newscast. Arirang News will be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.